The trouble's with your attitude. You don't pay enough attention anywhere. You don't know what the word study means. You have the slightest idea.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey there, podcast friends. Pod Sound School is in session. Learning is the only thing the mind never exhausts, never fears, and never regrets. Let's go.
Hello again, podcastpreneurs. How are you feeling? I'm Studio Steve, and this is episode 5. Today we're going to discuss an exciting topic:
interfaces.
So far, we've covered acoustics and the treating of our room and reduction and control of noise. Then last time we talked about microphones, dynamic and condenser. So now that your room is treated and you've decided on a microphone, we need to record our voices into a computer and put together our podcast. So the first stop after the microphone is our interface. This is the piece of equipment that we plug our microphone into that then connects to our computer or laptop, most commonly nowadays through a USB or Thunderbolt port. So, what is an interface? What does it do? How does it work? What kind of brand do I need? Like all of the episodes on the first season, we'll be staying on the surface of how things work. Next season, we're going to dive deeper into the technicalities. One of the best ways to learn is to just simply start doing it. Start playing with your gear, pushing buttons, making practice recordings, etc. But having a basic understanding will help you make an informed decision on what gear to purchase and save you time in the fumbling around stage. So let's quickly talk about audio interfaces. The audio interface is really the boss of your computer recording system. It performs many functions and has many key elements. For today's discussion, we'll quickly talk about the 5 basic aspects of an interface: preamps, converters, sample rate and bit depth, MIDI, and ins and outs. If that sounds like a lot and maybe even a different language, not to worry, little pioneers. It's actually pretty simple once you break it down. Number 1, preamps. If you remember from the microphone episode, we talked about how the microphone converts the vibrations in the air into an electrical signal. Well, once it's been converted into an electrical signal, that signal is then sent through a microphone cable and plugged into our interface. From here, the first place the signal comes in contact with is one of the interface's built-in preamplifiers. What a preamp does is to boost the low mic level signal into a more powerful line level signal. This line level is necessary for recording. The quality of the microphone and the quality of the preamps are really the 2 biggest factors in how the recording turns out. A good quality preamp is necessary to really hear the full potential of your microphone. Many of the consumer brand interfaces are built with preamps that are not very high quality. For this reason, it's popular to purchase a preamp separately from your interface and simply use the line inputs on the interface instead of the mic inputs. If you'd like to hear more about preamp recommendations, contrasts, and comparisons, check out our blog at podsoundschool.com/blog. Only a fraction of the couple $100 you'll spend on an entry-level interface is going toward that preamp. On the other hand, if you spend a couple $100 on just an entry-level preamp, whose only circuitry is dedicated to boosting mic level, you'll have much better results. A really expensive microphone will sound like garbage ran through a garbage preamp. And a cheap microphone can sound really great being ran through an expensive preamp. And although that expression, you get what you pay for, definitely applies to audio production, that doesn't mean that you have to spend thousands of dollars to achieve great sounding vocals on your podcast. If you're on a super tight budget, you can check out the Penny Pincher's Alternatives episode, where we discuss the cheapest and quickest ways to get going. The next most important factor is number 2, the converter.
You make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
After the preamp has added power to our microphone, the interface will send the signal to an AD converter, which stands for analog to digital converter. This is where the interface converts the analog signal into digital data,
A gigantic series of ones and zeros.
The job of the AD converter is to make this transformation as accurately as possible. Once the signal has become digitized, the interface then sends the signal through the USB or Thunderbolt cable into the computer to be recorded and manipulated by the recording and editing software. While performing this magic task, at almost the same moment, the interface also collects the sound coming out of the computer through the same USB or Thunderbolt cable and brings it back through another converter called the DA converter. Yep, digital to analog. This converter takes the giant stream of numbers and transforms them back into an analog signal that can be sent to speakers and headphones.
Wow, Rhonda. Who designs this stuff? I know, right?
Number 3, sample rate and bit depth. The term sample rate and bit depth are selling points of interfaces. These terms are functions of the converter. Sample rate is basically how many pictures the AD converter takes of the sound per second. The measurement for this is in kilohertz. You'll see this written as KHZ. Kilo stands for 1,000. So for every 1 kilohertz, the AD converter will take 1,000 pictures of the analog audio. Bit depth is basically the quality of each of these pictures. The higher the quality of picture, the tastier the sound. The more pictures you take per second and the higher quality of those pictures will give you a better and more real-to-life sound. But it will also give you larger file sizes. The only thing you really need to understand about sample rate and bit depth is that as the numbers get bigger, so does the audio quality. With that being said, you don't need the highest available numbers. Currently, the highest end interfaces offer 32-bit and 192 kilohertz. This creates much larger file sizes and really isn't necessary to achieve sweet sounds. A majority of podcast, audio, and music producers do just fine with 24-bit and 96 kilohertz, or 96K. And not that anybody exports their music to CDs anymore, but to put those numbers into perspective, the sample rate of a CD is 44.1K, and the bit depth is 16-bit. We'll get into this more later when we talk about exporting your MP3 for iTunes or for your web host. Number 4, MIDI. MIDI stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. This allows you to connect a MIDI keyboard or another MIDI controller to your computer. There are countless digital instruments or virtual instruments that can be controlled from this MIDI input. And lastly, number 5, ins and outs. This is what it sounds like, inputs and outputs. How many inputs and outputs an interface has varies a lot. How many you need depends on your intentions. How many microphones will you be using? How many hosts or co-hosts do you have? Will you have guests? How many headphones do you need to support? Are you also going to use the interface for music creation? All of these considerations will let you know how many inputs and outputs you need. You really want each voice or each instrument to have its own input and channel for optimum control and quality. There are workarounds using mixers where you can send multiple microphones through 1 or 2 inputs, but this won't allow you to adjust each voice separately later in mixing. So if you're planning a roundtable podcast with 5 friends and occasional guests, you might want to get an interface with 6 to 8 inputs. If it's just going to be you or you and a co-host, then a 2-input interface will probably be just fine. However, since you're already making an investment into an interface, it's never a bad idea to leave yourself a little room to grow. And that's our quick rundown on interfaces. What did we learn? 1. We need a tasty preamp. 2. AD and DA converters change the analog signal into a digital signal. 3. Sample rate and bit depth refer to audio quality and file size. The bigger the number, the higher quality and file size. 4. MIDI lets us plug a keyboard into our computer and play and record virtual instruments. And 5. Ins and outs are how many inputs and outputs an interface has. And there you go. Always a pleasure getting with you and chatting about audio toys. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email directly at studiosteve@podsoundschool.com. And of course, you can come along and find us on our social medias at PodSoundSchool. And if you really want to dive in headfirst and make a dent in the world, come get involved with the Overachievers Club over at our Patreon page, patreon.com/podsoundschool. Great job today, everyone, and I hope you're not thinking about giving up. I'm really excited to help you sound your best. Happy casting.
Did you learn quite a bit? I know I did, darlings. Remember, success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Goodbye for now.
Working from valuable learning experiences. Interest in work for which learners see a purpose provides its own discipline.